Coming up on the Mind Caddie.
It's the story you tell yourself about yourself. What are you focusing on majority of the time? Gotta just focus on the present, one shot at a time. I know it's the cliche thing to think, or to say, but man, it is so true. I don't know. I guess I just had an epiphany. Like, man, I need to be there for them. Especially, I think having daughters too.
Yeah.
Is a different perspective versus having boys. But I'm like, these girls need their dad. Like, I don't want to not be around them when in these pivotal moments where they're making memories of walking for the first time and saying their words for the first time. Everything is just a breeding ground to get to that next level. And that's what I love about college golf, is just because it's all looking towards the future.
What was the sort of, not the fallout, but what resulted as a result of winning on the PGA Tour?
Mind Caddie.
Hello, Derek. Thanks very much for joining me on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carl, for having me.
Yeah, no, we've known each other quite a while through a mutual friend, Randy Joyner. I'm sure we'll get into as we go through this. It'd be great, Derek, to just kind of set the scene before we start talking about the college stuff with Tennessee, about your kind of early days that actually led then to the PGA Tour and winning on the PGA Tour. What were early days like with your golf in terms of developing your game?
Yeah, so my dad played professional tennis and kind of forced that on me at an early age, around 10, 11 years old. Got really good at it, actually. But, when you start hitting that 13 age, you just kind of become a rebellious kid a little bit. So I started going towards other sports and playing a bit more baseball and more golf. And then really just kind of, those were the two sports that I kind of narrowed down, that those were what I wanted to be pursuing the most. And then once spring hit, or once high school hit, you have to choose either one because it's a spring. Both of them were spring sports.
Yeah.
Literally flipped a coin on what sport I was going to play for my freshman year in high school. Because I loved baseball probably more. But it was tails, and I called tails for golf and never looked back since. So I won a couple events as a freshman, and just kind of got ranked higher. And I'm just like, well, if I got to stick to one of these things, and just golf kind of led all the way there, and went to.
It was a coin that led you to the PGA.
It literally was a coin. I wish I had that coin. That would have been kind of cool to know what it all led to, But yeah, did pretty good. Junior golf stuff. Went to UNLV. Got recruited by Dwayne Knight there. Had a pretty decent college career there. I won conference as a junior. This is all pre, PGA Tour U and stuff. So you had to go. I graduated, went to Q school. First year out of Q school, got my card. It was 2012. So it was the last year before they switched into, you had to go to Korn Ferry to get the card. So top 25 guys through those 6 rounds at PGA West over in Palm Springs. I finished like 17th, I think. So here we go. I'm 22, got my PGA Tour card right out of college. And I think I won my 7th PGA Tour event. So it just all kind of happened real quick, so.
And what were looking back, Derek, what were the sort of key influences and the key ways that you develop your game in such a short period of time relatively to get to a point to winning on the PGA Tour?
Yeah, I would say the key points probably just were, I don't know, self-belief. I wrote some notes that I kind of wanted to address, but one of the things I wrote down was when I was in school, like most of these kids that are going to listen to this who are in college or high school, like sometimes you start doodling, your mind drifts into the golf, whatever. And I would constantly write down, and this is sort of like a manifestation, I guess, but I just wrote, I'm going to win on the PGA Tour. And I must have had that on everything I signed in. I had it on, study homework to notes I took to sometimes tests when I would just get bored and I knew I still had enough time. Like, that's just the first habit that I always just wrote down. And it's funny how that ended up what's happening just so early on, just because my brain was constantly going there and thinking about winning and being on the PGA Tour.
Right.
So that to me was, looking back on it now, I think that was a big driving factor of my success getting there that early. So
right, you were sort of creating a really strong self-belief. But in terms of your actual game, Eric, how much were coaches involved or not involved in you developing your craft and your shot making, etc.?
Yeah, so I kids today seem like they get a lesson like once a week. I was lucky if I went every 3 months probably,
Right.
um, which was good, because there was not a lot of swing mechanics going on in my head. It
True.
was a lot of the stuff that you teach, which is more ball control and just visualizing shots and
Shots.
creating the shots like that.
Mm.
Um, and I think that's, was big for me. I worked with Tommy Masters, who was in Fresno at San Joaquin. I worked with Mike Shy a little bit, who was Bryson's coach
Yeah.
back where I grew up in California. And so, yeah, there was not a lot of teaching and coaching. It was a lot of like, the
Shots.
ball control and shot shaping. Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
So
Mm. And once you got out on the PGA Tour, obviously you say you won pretty quickly, but did you feel comfortable straight away out there once you got on tour?
no, and I think that's why. So I think I had that success early because I had the correct mindset. And then you start looking at different people and what they're doing and the coaches they're working with. So then you think, oh, I need to go do those things too.
Right.
And I go down those rabbit holes of, oh, I need a coach and I need to talk to him all the time and worry about my swing and is it in the right spots all the time? Because we're traveling a lot, right? So you wake in a different bed and sometimes it's laid off, sometimes it was over the top, whatever. Like I started going down those and constantly talking to swing coaches, and I think that's why my success kind of just tapered off and kind of went down because I started focusing on the incorrect things versus
Right.
how I was when I was a kid when I would just see shots and hit the shot. So,
Right. That's so interesting. And I know you
mhm.
won the Wells Fargo, and you won it in a playoff, didn't you, against David Lynn, a fellow
David Lynn,
countryman?
I think he's from London too. So,
I'm not sure he's from London, but he's
or
certainly
he's
obviously
English. I know
from
he's
the
English. So,
from the UK, yeah. And what do you remember about that? What do you remember about getting into a position to be in a playoff and then actually executing and getting the job done in the playoff?
yeah. So I knew I was playing good and I was top five, and I only made one or two cuts at that point in my career, and I remember maybe the last like three holes, just trying to want to finish off a good tournament because I was right there. And I ended up, Phil Mickelson was maybe one or two ahead of me or something like that. I might have been third ish. And David Lynn was also up there too. And I ended up birding the very last hole. I hit a 6-iron to that back left flag, hit it to like 12 feet, made the putt. I'm like, all right, like I'm going to finish top hot, pretty high. And then Mickelson ended up bogeying 17 while I birdied. So we flipped. So I was
Right.
one back. Now I'm one ahead. And Mickelson had a birdie 18 to get in that playoff with David Lynn and I, and didn't birdie 18. So I remember driving back to the back of to the first playoff hole. And the rules official at the time was like, hey, let's keep the money that we make here in America. Meaning like, hey, don't give it to an English guy. Like, let's, kind of like a USA pride type deal. Right. And so it kind of took my mind off of like anything that was going on, and it kind of became like a little mini Ryder Cup in my head to me,
Right.
to where it was just like, let's just win for America
Just
kind of
win
thing.
this head to head.
Instead of for myself, it was like, hey, let's win for everyone here kind of thing. So it was
Right.
kind of, it took the pressure off of solely on me to like kind of playing for everybody. And I think it
Right.
just kind of freed me up, and I hit it down the middle, and it was raining at the time. I ended up hitting a 3-iron in the playoff, and hit it to another 15 feet or something like that, while he kind of pulled it left and made a bogey. So yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. And what did that do afterwards? Looking back on it, what was the sort of, not the fallout, but what resulted as a result of winning on the PGA Tour?
Um, I think having the perspective now is I put a lot of pressure on myself that, oh, like I should be in this position all the time, right?
Right.
Like I've done it. So, you know, having these expectations on myself became higher, and then really being in the spotlight where people were watching you more and recognizing you for those things. When you don't reach those expectations, you start the self-talk kind of was going more towards the negative now
Yeah.
versus, because I had no ceiling, right? Like I was a rookie on tour. There was no result based thing. It was just go out and have fun and play.
Sure.
And
Sure.
then I started just kind of looking at the results and looking and putting pressure on myself that I need to do it again. And then when you don't meet those expectations, you're like, maybe I'm not that good. So
Sure.
all those things kind of led into my career. I only played 5 full years on tour, and then back and forth between PGA and Korn Ferry for a total of 11 years. But yeah, it was, I think now that I can see those things, I wish I can go back in time and just be like, hey, don't worry about that stuff. Just keep playing like you were when you won. Like, you're not thinking about the expectations that everyone else is putting on you. Just go have fun like you've been having the last 10 years of your life. So
Interesting. Last week we had Ian Baker Finch on the podcast, and almost verbatim a similar conversation that he won the British Open, and he actually said he felt like after winning the British Open he should play like a major champion every week. Same scenario, and that just got more and more pressure. And I think then it shows that, for everybody listening, if you're in that situation where you're getting away from the game, and it's more about what the game means rather than the game itself. Because what you've just described, it was all about the game, wasn't it? It was all about hitting shots and creating shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it became about like the business side, like to say that money didn't really have a factor is a lie, because then I'm like, oh man, that was cool. I want a big check. Like and then you start playing for that almost,
Right.
because I'm like, oh man, I've never had money like this before. And then,
Mm.
it's just, you start playing for the wrong reasons, even, on that side too. So absolutely, like going down those rabbit holes, you just got to be careful. You got to self-evaluate and just kind of figure out what am I thinking about?
Yeah.
That was something else I wrote down here. Where it's the story, or our head coach at University of Tennessee says, it's the story you tell yourself about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, what are you focusing on majority of the time? Like, is your mind going towards, oh man, you got to watch that self-talk. Like, oh, I'm not good enough, or, pissed off at a bad shot that you just hit. You got to just focus on the present, one shot at a time. I know it's the cliche thing to think, or to say, but man, it is so true.
And I think, you're looking back from the experience of that, of being a PGA Tour winner, and it's a really strong message for anybody listening to that. And it applies just the same at club level, doesn't it? Is getting away from what the golf shot means instead of what the golf shot is.
Yeah.
If I'm into this means fill in the blanks, I'm not thinking about that it's a downhill lie and the wind's blowing off the right or whatever. I'm getting away from the actual shot itself.
Worried about the result, and then what the result's going to do for you in the long term, versus just staying in the moment, staying in through the process to hit the best quality shot that you can in the moment. Absolutely.
So what were the rest of those years like, Derek, on tour after you won? You mentioned obviously there were a few struggles afterwards. Looking back on that time, you said about what you do differently. What was that experience like when it was more of a struggle out there?
Yeah, those are the tough times, because then it's like, I remember, being in the moment where I'm like, hey, do I continue to play? Like, when you're starting to struggle, you're like, do I continue to play to like get whatever it is out, or do I take some time off and get away and then kind of reset? And I was always the kid that, just because I had nothing, I'm like, I might as well just keep playing. So I just played in as many tournaments as I could. And even when I was struggling, and I think, in looking back, I think that was also something that hurt me, because it just continues to kind of beat you down, versus just like, if you took time off, maybe you could find something. Obviously it'd be more mental, finding something where you just kind of got away from it for a little bit and just reset and reevaluated. I think it could have been a different story, from where I am now.
I think that's one of the things I've seen in the last 30 years, and it's not easy to come off the treadmill. But I think when your game is you're struggling a little bit, it's easy to think, I've got to play, I've got to keep playing. I just need to make a cut. I just need to get some more money. And one week rolls into another, and all of a sudden that can be 5 or 6 cuts miscounted, and then you really kind of disappear down the rabbit hole.
Right. Exactly. But in the moment, you're not thinking that. You're just like, well, maybe if I can just go play a few, I'm going to find something. And when you're in the moment, it's, you're not thinking it's a mental thing. You're like, oh, it's a physical thing for sure, because it's just this and that. And again, you just go down holes that you shouldn't have been going down, when you should have just kind of took time off, reset, reevaluated, got back on track. So.
And coaching at Tennessee very successfully. You just said before we started, you've had some great results recently. How did that all come about, Eric? And I know you found the transition from playing to coaching, and what that gives you.
Yeah, so COVID was a big time for me. I had 2 daughters, and they were 3 and 6 months old at the time when COVID hit. And we
Yeah.
got those 3 months off when, the world shut down. And man, to say that I wanted to go out and practice and get ready, I was the biggest lie. I didn't want to go out. All I wanted to do was hang out with my family. Because this
Right.
was also in that time when things were really tough, like where I was not playing the greatest. And, I was back and forth between PGA and Corn Ferry. So, like, I mean, I remember I went 9 weeks straight not seeing the kids and wife.
Did you?
Yeah, 9 straight weeks where it was because I had status on both, right? So like, oh, I'm in a PGA Tour event, but then I missed the Corn Ferry that week, so now I got to go play a Corn Ferry. So I might be able to get my card 2 different ways. So it was just like stay on the road and keep playing and try to get some points, make whatever you on both sides, right? And so when the world shut down, I got to see what it was like to be a dad and see what it was like to hang out with a family and not just be playing for myself and just being in my own world. I got to actually be in their world and see where my wife was. And I don't know, I guess I just had an epiphany like, man, I need to be there for them. Especially I think having daughters too
Yeah.
is a different perspective versus having boys. But, I'm like, these girls need their dad. Like, I don't want to
Yeah.
not be around them when in these pivotal moments where they're making memories of walking for the first
Yeah.
time and saying their words for the first time, you know?
Yeah.
So, that kind of led into the next 2 years, 3 years, basically of like, this self-talk, like how I said, I wrote down on the piece of paper that I want to win a PGA Tour event. It was like, what kind of job can I get where I'm with my family more? So
Right.
like things shifted mentally for me during that time. So my brain was not always fully there, but I was still physically good enough to play. And I had a couple decent Corn Ferry years.
Mm.
But yeah, then 20 to 23, I'm like, man, I don't want to do it anymore. Like I just kind of
Right.
hit just rock bottom of like, I don't want to play Corn Ferry. I don't want to play PGA. I just want to stay with my girls,
Yeah.
And so I applied and got a coaching job at being the director of instruction at a club in Dallas. That lasted for a year because when Live Golf came out, I was getting into more PGA Tour events. I got into like 12 PGA Tour events because guys were dropping out, right?
Right.
And me and the general manager kind of had a mutual thing like, hey, bud, you left like 12 weeks this year and you weren't here. So I'm not firing you, but like we're kind of letting you go because you're just never here. And I'm like, that's
Right.
totally fair. And so what he let me do is just not pay a fee and just go out there and teach golf. So like I
Right.
was still playing PGA then at the time and then just coming home and giving lessons. So I was kind
Right.
of just doing both, And so when that mutual thing hit, and then I was like, man, what do I want to do? Like I can't just constantly be doing that the whole time,
Mm.
like trying to play, but then give lessons. And Mike Chisholm, who's my uncle-in-law, I married his niece. He's an agent for like Will Zalatoris, Ryan Palmer. He's like, hey, you should try to look into coaching. Like, what if you coached, like there was a nice high school team where Jordan Spieth went to high school. And I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of fun actually. Like maybe I could do that. And
Mm.
at least it's more stable than just giving some random golf lessons.
Yeah.
But then I just reached out to a couple college coaches and Alan Bratton at Oklahoma State took me on and I lived up there for a year in Stillwater. And I mean, it was a blessing too. I'm so glad he hired me because we ended up winning the national championship. I got to hang out with, Ethan Fang, who ended up winning the British Am, Preston Stout. Both of them were on the Walker Cup team. So being around those good players, kind of just led into this snowball effect kind of going into now Tennessee. So it's been great. Little transition that's my transition from college or my playing professionally into the college. So.
And how does it work with your coaching at Tennessee? What do you feel like you bring to the players in terms of your coach player relationship?
Yeah, I would say I'm more on the player development side, right? Just because I played for 11 plus years and, I think what I bring, I guess, is I know what to think on the golf course,
Yeah.
learning from you and Randy because I've worked with Randy for 7 years, 8 years now. Just the stuff that he's taught me through you, I trying to apply those things to these boys and, having different caddies throughout my career, right? Of like what I liked in some caddies and what I didn't like in some caddies. So when I'm on the golf course with them, I'm applying those things that I thought were the most beneficial. So,
Yeah.
getting them to think about certain things. If I listen to their self-talk, right? If I'm walking with them and I hear some sort of negativity, I always try to get their mind off of it quickly. Like
Right.
we were in Palma Valley this past weekend. I was walking with one of our freshmen, and he was kind of going down a little rabbit hole, like thinking negatively because putts haven't been falling. And I just asked him a question just to get his mind off of it. Hey, what's your favorite part about this week? Like, do you love where we stay? Do you like just to completely erase
Get him away.
where he was going to go? And he ended up, doing okay the last couple holes just because I got him out of it. Like, let's cut that off and, do that. So I think that's what I bring to the table is being able to not, I know what it's like being in their position when they're playing and they can't really focus on what they're actually seeing.
Yeah.
I can step back and be like, hey, like, and lead them towards the direction that they're supposed to be thinking and playing, right? So
And it just the interesting when you just said it there, Derek, and I know Randy's used it a lot, and I've used it a lot. You've obviously used it perfectly there. Is the power of questions? Is about how a question in the right moment can literally just change what your attention's on and where you're at, and that's a powerful example you've just given there.
And exactly, like how many times do you hear a player in the moment when things aren't going well, like they start asking questions, maybe not out loud, but in their head they're going, oh, how bad am I? Why am I playing so bad right now? Why is a putt not falling?
Why is this happening to me?
Why is this happening to me? Yeah, exactly. And none of those questions are bringing any value. They're actually just breaking you down over the long run, right? So like, your thing is always ask a good question, get a good result, or get a good answer, right? So got to be careful with the questions you're asking yourself.
And it sounds so ridiculously simple to say it, but for anybody who's got reason of ability, just asking the question, what does a good shot look like here?
Right.
Everything else gets suspended then, does it? And the brain goes to work on creating what a good shot looks like. And then you can maybe connect some feels to that. And all of a sudden, it's a cliche, you're back in the moment. You're back in this shot.
That's right. Well, there's two things that does. It creates a positivity because you're trying to see a good shot. And then it brings you into the present, right? Because it's not getting you to think about what have I done in the last couple holes and why hasn't it gone in? Or way in the future of like, man, if I keep going this direction, like I'm going to shoot 79 and that's going to look real bad to the team, or whatever. So it does those two things. That's why I love those. Like, what's a good shot look like? What's it feel like? And then usually what I tell the boys is like, say one kind of affirmation positivity word. Like for me, when I did this with Randy, it was always like commit or trust.
Yeah.
Those something just to like, you've done that. Now let's just go do it.
Let it go. Yeah. What's your, this is a big question, Derek, but what's your overall view now of college golf? We had a conversation a while ago. There's a lot of money involved in college golf now. It's a different landscape. There must be obviously pluses and minuses to that. What's your kind of global view of the whole thing?
I don't like it, honestly. I wish it was. Now, I lived in the era too where it wasn't like that, right? There was no money. It was go earn everything. But it creates a little bit of entitlement for these kids, especially at such a young age when we're recruiting them, right? These kids are 16, 17, and if they're some of the top players in the country trying to get recruited, they're not really asking about what is this program? Like, how good is this program? They're like, hey, how much money are they going to be giving me? And it's like, yeah, I mean, not all. I mean, it just depends on some of the kids, but there's definitely a trend in that direction with all this new development of NIL money, right? And being in the SEC where there is a lot of money, there's numbers out there that are just mind-boggling to me on what kids are getting paid. Now, also, PGA Tour money has also grown a lot too, so it's all in relative to each other. But man, just I would say, like, if I was, recruiting a kid, like, I wouldn't be focusing on how much money I'd be getting. I'd be going, where do I want to go that's going to prepare me? Because I'm only going to be here for, if they're really good, 1, 2, 3, 4 years max, right? Where do I want to go that's going to make me prepare for the PGA Tour? Where do I want to go that's going to get me to that next level? Like, who's going to get me there? And that's just what I think. And that's why I love at Tennessee. I mean, our facility is unbelievable. Brennan does a great job of fundraising money to make sure that these kids have no excuses. Like we have psychologists, we have breathing people, we have a full gym at the facility. The guys have tutors for school. I mean, they have everything that they need to get to the next level. So, and that's what I love. Everything is just a breeding ground to get to that next level. And that's what I love about college golf, is just because it's all looking towards the future. So it's cool.
And it's an incredible environment for the kids to be in, isn't it? You've got
Absolutely. It's
a bunch of players trying to be good at what they're doing.
Yeah. It's a mini qualifying Q school all the time. I mean, especially, with your team, like, and then you're going out and playing against all these next guys. And that's why I do love PGA Tour U. Like, I love that's an opportunity for some of these guys to get to the PGA Tour so fast, because these guys are good. I mean, we got Lance Simpson, who's probably going to go. He just won the last tournament in Palma Valley against a really good field. He'll probably be in the top 8 now or something like that. And you got Koiven and just a lot of good players who've already gotten into a couple PGA Tour events and made some cuts, but yeah, it's
in my naivety, Derek, I knew there was a lot of money in college golf. I didn't realize players were being paid quite so much money.
There's some players that, yeah, I mean, depending on who you are and what you've already done, on your resume, there's guys that are getting paid. I mean, there's guys with NIL money, because it's even before college, right? There's kids out there that are 14, 15 years old, like, some like Miles Russell and whatever, like getting NIL money before they even get to college, right? We have Tyler Watts coming in this year. Like, he's already made 3 cuts on the PGA Tour already, and he hasn't even gotten into college yet. So it's just, some of these kids are good early, so.
Yeah. It's a very different world. That's for sure. What would you say your relationship is with the game now? Do you still feel like you want to play at some point, or where does the game rest with you in terms of your own game?
I'm in a spot right now where, because it's only been about 2 years since I've kind of just said I'm done. But man, like, learning the things I've learned over these last 2 years of being around, Alan Bratton at Oklahoma State and Brendan Webb at Tennessee, and with some of the best college players in the country. I think, I could still do it. I just don't know what I got to figure out and sit down, like, what do I want to do? Where do I see myself in 5 years? But I see myself both. I could right now, like, that's what's tough, is like, man, I know I can go do it again, because of the mindset that I have now, where I can step back and just be like, man, it really doesn't matter after I hit a bad shot.
Yeah.
Like, I used to think it was life and death, like, oh, you hit a bad shot, and then you'd react and think, oh my gosh, that just set me up for the next 3 holes of bad, or the round's over and all that kind of stuff. Man, my expectations are so low that I just go out and I don't practice hardly anymore at all. I went out the other day with the boys to Tennessee National, and I go, guys, I haven't touched a club since November. I go, I might shoot 82, but I could shoot 68. And they're like, okay, like, I go, can I just have a couple shots? You guys have been playing. Yeah. I was like, and so they ended up giving me 3 aside, which they shouldn't have given me, but I was like, I'll take it, and I ended up having 2 eagles and like 4 or 5 birdies through 14 holes. And then I'm like, hey, I got to go, pick up my kids from school or whatever. But I was like 7 under through 14. I'm like, I could still
They
play.
were giving you shots. That's a good
And they gave me
hustle,
shots. Yeah, I beat them straight up, and then they were giving me 3 aside. So it was great.
But what you've just touched on there, Randy, we've talked about it before, but you've just highlighted there about acceptance, and it's this word that gets thrown around, and it can be misunderstood and misrepresented. But essentially, I picked up there that wasn't a strong enough part of your game on the PGA Tour, perhaps, that it would be the next time, if whatever it
Yeah,
iteration
if
that
there
is.
is a next time, I would be way more accepting into where I would hit bad shots, because
Yeah.
I know now that it's not that big of a deal, right? It's just, go hit it. Did you do your best on the shot? Did you go through your process? And if you did, okay, check mark. I did what I wanted. Now, wherever it ended up, learn from it and go hit the next one close again, and just keep that process going, right? But yeah, I was not very good at accepting shots. I was a little fiery, and just put way too much pressure on myself, So yeah, I would definitely.
Did you fall into the trap out there when you hit the poor shots on tour? Was it a kind of analysis down the or did it become an analysis about, oh, something's changed in the swing or whatever it may be that?
Yeah, it was always a swing thing, like, "Oh my gosh," or I would blame my caddy. I was so mean to some of my caddies. I just wish I could apologize, call them and just apologize for how immature I was, just not realizing that they're doing their best,
Yeah.
along with me, that it's not like they knew that the number or I would have hit it harder, and I'd be so mean to them. And yeah, like it was, I just didn't have the acceptance that I do now. Like just look, my perspective on life and playing this game has changed completely. That I
Yeah.
wish I had this mindset when I was 22,
Yeah. Yeah. So on that, Derek, just to finish up, what would be I'm guessing, well, I'm not guessing, there's a lot of sort of younger players perhaps listening to this who are maybe thinking about a college career. What would be your key messages for any parents as well thinking about the college route? What would your message be to get the absolute best out of that experience?
I would say, I mean, this is a game. This is not a life or death thing that we're doing when we're hitting a golf ball and chasing it. Like, um, go out and have fun. Like this is a game to just completely enjoy
Uh,
and be nice to like sometimes like when I'm around, you know, different groups, based off a player, like how he's reacting to shots, changes the vibe of the group, right? Like
yeah.
you could have a guy in your group who is kind of rooting for you, right? Like, you know, Jack Nicklaus, I heard a quote. He used to say, like, I never rooted for a player, but I never rooted against them.
No.
This because he knew that, like, hey, this is all it's not a life or death thing. We're enjoying our time out here. And after this, we should go talk and hang out and be
Yeah.
friends. Like that's how we need to be playing this game is not just like, what can I get out of it? And
Yeah.
it's all about me. And that's, I think, what a lot of younger kids, and I was the same way when I was younger, like, what am I going to get out of it? What can
Mm,
I benefit from this?
mm,
But the more I started just putting others in front of me and going, hey, like, this could be a long relationship with this guy and he could be one of my best friends. Like, you just
mm,
got to be open for that opportunity. So,
mm.
yeah.
Yeah. I think it's selfishness. I don't think we realize it at the time, but it's immensely damaging to your golf,
100%.
isn't it?
Yeah, I was so guilty of that. Just being selfish, like, you know, playing the way I played, wanting to do well for the wrong things. Why did I play? It just wasn't for the things that I wish I would be playing for now. So, yeah.
Derek, thanks ever so much for your time. Just one last thing, and we were going to mention. I was going to mention Randy because obviously
Mhm.
we speak a lot, and you spent a lot of time with him. You said on tour, you spoke to a lot of coaches. What was it that Randy brought to the coaching relationship that it was so useful for you in terms of your own game and your development?
Randy was the least technical college or swing coach that I've ever had. It was
Right.
never about having to be perfect and taking a video and getting it in the right spots. Now we address things if things got off,
Yeah.
but we never did that. We went out and played constantly and just
Mm,
tried to play different games and different shots. And it got me acting like when I was a kid and when I won
yeah.
my tour event, like he kind of brought me back to that place when I
Yeah.
was starting to go down the rabbit hole of what majority of players do, where they're just constantly searching for the correct positions in a golf swing. And Randy would always ask me the question, and I'm guessing he got this from you, but does the shot produce the swing or does the swing produce the shot?
It's a profoundly important question, that, isn't it? Does the swing create the shot, or does the shot create the swing? And we can debate it endlessly, but ultimately, when you're out there playing, it should be the shot creating the swing.
Yeah.
Derek, thanks a million for your time. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Always great to catch up and chat. But thanks for today.
Mind Caddie.